More than 4,000 years ago, long before the rise of Greece or Rome, a great civilization thrived along the fertile plains of the Indus River. It stretched across what is now Pakistan, northwest India, and parts of Afghanistan, covering an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. This was the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, named after one of its first discovered cities. At its height, it was home to over 5 million people, living in hundreds of towns and cities that rivaled the greatest urban centers of the ancient world. And yet, this civilization so advanced, so organized, and so powerful vanished. Around 1900 BCE, its great cities were abandoned, its people dispersed, and its culture dissolved into obscurity. For thousands of years, the Indus Valley Civilization was forgotten, its memory erased from history until British archaeologists stumbled upon its ruins in the 1920s. The mystery remains. How did one of the world's prosperous great civilizations disappear, almost without a trace? What makes this mystery even deeper is how advanced the Harappans were for their time. Their cities, like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, were marvels of urban planning. They were built on carefully laid-out grids, with straight streets, multi-story houses, and even sophisticated drainage systems that some argue were more advanced than what Europe had until the 19th century. They had public baths, wells in nearly every home, and granaries to store food. This was not a chaotic society, but one of structure, stability, and ingenuity. Even more astonishing is that this civilization thrived without kings, armies, or massive palaces, at least none that archaeologists have found. Unlike Mesopotamia and Egypt, where rulers carved their names into monuments, the Harappans left behind no grand statues or records proclaiming powerful kings. Instead, their society seems to have been unusually egalitarian, with a focus on trade, community life, and a shared culture rather than conquest and hierarchy. Their script, carved on seals and pottery, remains undeciphered to this day. We do not know what language they spoke, what they called themselves, or what they believed. Without decipherable written records, we are left with only fragments, small symbols on seals, clues in their art, and traces in later Indian traditions. This silence makes the mystery of their disappearance even more haunting. We are left with questions, and each new discovery only seems to deepen the puzzle. So what happened? Why did one of the world's most advanced civilizations crumble and vanish while others endured? Scholars have debated this for decades, and while many theories exist, none provide a complete answer. Some believe climate change played a devastating role. Geological studies suggest that around 2000 BCE, the once mighty Saraswati River, which many Harappan cities depended upon, began to dry up. The shifting monsoon rains weakened over centuries, transforming fertile lands into dry plains. Crops failed, food supplies dwindled, and people may have abandoned their great cities in search of more reliable water sources. Archaeological surveys revealed that as the great cities declined, smaller rural settlements appeared, suggesting people may have spread out into villages when cities could no longer sustain them. Another theory points to catastrophic flooding. Mohenjo-daro shows evidence of repeated floods from the Indus River. Some archaeologists believe waves of floods destroyed homes and infrastructure again and again, forcing inhabitants to abandon the city. But floods alone don't explain the scale of the disappearance, since the civilization extended far beyond one river valley. Disease is another possibility. Skeletons uncovered in Harappan sites show unusual injuries and signs of illness. Some scholars suggest that an epidemic, perhaps cholera or another waterborne disease, could have swept through the crowded urban centers. With their advanced but closely packed cities, diseases may have spread rapidly, devastating the population. And then there is the question of invasion. For much of the 20th century, historians believed the Harappan civilization was destroyed by Indo-Aryan tribes migrating from Central Asia. Ancient Indian texts, like the Rigveda, describe battles between early Aryan tribes and the people of the Indus. But archaeological evidence for violent conquest is weak. Unlike other collapsed civilizations, the ruins of the Indus Valley show little sign of burning, mass graves, or widespread warfare. While some conflicts may have occurred, it seems unlikely that invasion alone caused the downfall. Perhaps the most intriguing idea is that the decline was not sudden but gradual. The Harappan civilization may not have fallen in the dramatic sense, but rather transformed, slowly, over centuries. As rivers dried up, floods came and went, and trade with Mesopotamia declined. People adapted by abandoning large cities and moving into smaller villages. Instead of collapse, it may have been a slow decentralization. By 1500 BCE, the great cities were gone, but the people remained, their culture absorbed into the Vedic traditions that would later shape India. This blending raises an even deeper question. Did the Indus Valley truly vanish, or did it simply become invisible within later cultures? Some argue that elements of Harappan traditions live on today. The emphasis on bathing in water in Indian culture may echo the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, Certain motifs in Hinduism, like the worship of fertility symbols, may trace their roots back to Harappan seals. Even yoga postures resemble figures found in Harappan art. Perhaps the Indus people never truly disappeared, but their identity was woven into the larger fabric of South Asian civilization, hidden in plain sight. Still, the silence of their script remains maddening. If we could read their language, perhaps we would know how they saw themselves, what crises they faced, and why their cities were abandoned. For now, we are left to speculate, piecing together clues from ruins, bones, and ancient riverbeds. Each discovery, whether it's a crumbling wall, a buried seal, or the trace of a long-dried river, adds a fragment to the puzzle, but the full picture remains elusive. The mystery deepens when we consider just how influential the Indus Valley Civilization may have been. It traded with Mesopotamia, sending precious stones, metals, and goods across vast distances. Their weights and measures were astonishingly precise, suggesting a sophisticated economic system. They produced beautiful jewelry, pottery, and artwork, showing a culture that valued beauty as much as practicality. And yet, after its decline, it left no great monuments like the pyramids or ziggurats to remind the world of its glory. It simply faded. To imagine this disappearance, think of modern cities like New York, London, or Tokyo, bustling with millions of people. Now imagine that in just a few centuries, they are abandoned, their skyscrapers crumbling, their streets silent, their people dispersed into small towns. Future generations, thousands of years later, stumble upon the ruins but cannot read the writing, cannot understand the culture, and are left only to wonder, who were these people, and what became of them? That is the enigma of the Indus Valley. The greatest civilizations often leave behind stories of conquest, heroes, and rulers who shaped history. The Harappans, by contrast, left behind no tales of kings, no monuments to victory, no stories of great wars. Their legacy is in the quiet perfection of their cities, the precision of their trade, and the mystery of their disappearance. In some ways, this silence is more powerful than any grand narrative. It forces us to confront how fragile civilizations can be, how quickly greatness can vanish without explanation. Perhaps that is why the Indus Valley continues to haunt us. It is a reminder that human progress is not inevitable, that even the most advanced societies are vulnerable to nature, to disease, to the shifting currents of history. It reminds us that behind the ruins are real people, farmers, traders, artisans, children, who lived full lives and then were forgotten. Their voices are lost, but their silence echoes across time. And so, the disappearance of the Indus Valley Civilization remains one of history's most enduring mysteries. Did they fall to climate change, disease, or invasion? Did they scatter quietly into villages, carrying their traditions with them? Or is the answer something we have not yet imagined, hidden deep beneath the soil, waiting to be uncovered? Until the day we crack their script or uncover decisive evidence, the Indus Valley will remain a ghost civilization, a riddle carved into clay and buried under centuries of earth. But perhaps that is the true power of their story. The Harappans may not have left us legends of kings or empires, but they left us a question, one so powerful that it continues to intrigue humanity thousands of years later. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization is not in what it built, but in the mystery it left behind. If you enjoyed this journey through Mystery Vault, make sure to subscribe and join us for more mysteries of history and the world around us.